Hello, it's Rob here, touchscaper developer. Hope you're all doing well. So this is a kind of a tips video. So if you've seen, there's another couple of videos on my channel, one of which is a submission to the Spitfire audio and HBO competition to score a Westworld scene. Something I should mention up front, nice though it would be, HBO didn't commission me to score a Westworld scene. It's part of a competition run by Spitfire Audio, and I shall link that in the YouTube description just to clear up any confusion. But I thought there's two videos plus this one, making 3 in total. My maths is amazing today. The first one is the competition entry itself, which is basically the music to the scene and complete with dialogue and sound effects, and obviously the film itself. And then the other one is I actually captured my live performance on the iPad, and that is a separate video, and that's just the music. And then this one that I'm doing right now for you, a couple of people mentioned when I told them about this idea, they said, well, you should do a kind of like a teardown video and walk through the process. So for what it's worth, this is my warts and all approach that I took to doing this Westworld scene. If you're not familiar with the TV show, check it out. It's very good. I'm only actually just partway through season 1, so when I watched the clip, I was like, "Hang on, is that Dolores? Where are all the cowboys?" I guess a lot of you are a bit further down the road than I am with Westworld. But anyway, far too busy coding to get into these episodal dramas. But I'm enjoying it. It's very cool. Speaking of Westworld, if you're wondering about this graphic, touchscaper has this thing, it's under the hood at the moment, where you can drop in custom images. So I thought it would be kind of fun to do this. I hope I'm not infringing any kind of copyright law with this. I'm not going to make this available, although I might make the facility to upload your own images as backgrounds at some point. It's not very high on the to-do list, sorry about that. But what I liked about the guy, guessing it's a guy, well, we can't really tell, can we? It's a host in the making. I like that this kind of frame here kind of matches up with the touchscaper radar view, so you still kind of know vaguely where you are. And vaguely where you are is all you need to know with touchscaper. If you're familiar with the app, you just need to know roughly whereabouts you are. So, if you've seen the scene, I'd urge you to kind of, if this sounds like it might be interesting, I'd urge you to watch that first, and then, this will make more sense in context. So, what's it all about? So the scene is basically 4 minutes or so, and it's ostensibly it's a car chase. And action scenes are the little bit of scoring to film that I've done, and it's, I should say, a tiny amount really. Action scenes are pretty hard to do, so I thought, wouldn't it be an interesting challenge if I try to do this all on touchscaper? And what's more, I thought I'm going to do it mostly live, so I'm just going to kind of like run the scene, the clip going, and then just try and jam along and maybe identify a few key points where I need to kind of like really push it or reel it in a bit. And I thought, well, we'll give it a go and see how it comes out. And so that's what I did. So I'm just going to show you basically how I approached it. Now, the first thing is to maybe talk about my AUM setup. This is new, by the way. At long last, I got round to adding a zip to your host button. So touchscaper running, in IAA mode, and I'm only using the drums in touchscaper. And next up in line, of course, Animoog. Animoog's always there, like my trusty friend. So Animoog's there, and we've got Model D, and we've got Model 15 as well. I'll go through what each of these guys are doing in a tick, but for now, let's just put our effects to one side so we can kind of, excuse me, hear what's going on. So we got a touchscape. Let's start with the drums. Sorry, a quick squig of tea. And let's have a look at our patterns that we've got. So this is kind of lifted from another MIDI demo that I did because I thought it might work well. And I don't know if it does, but you can agree or disagree in the comment section. That's the joy of YouTube. So let's have a listen to just the drums. It's a car chase, mostly. So I thought this beat would work pretty well. Let's have a quick blast of that. So it's your classic motoric beat, as it's often referred to. And if we just have a look at the actual sequence, very, very straightforward. We've got a little bit of probability going on some of the open hi-hats and also the clap on the offbeat there. Something that you might be interested in trying with your own stuff. I've got this at you might think that's a like crazy slow tempo, but what I'm doing is I figured that I'm not going to need anything more than an eighth note at my target real tempo, which is double that basically. And what that means is if you're willing to say, well, eighth notes are as snappy as I'm going to get, then you can basically half your tempo and you've got a 2-bar loop instead of a 1-bar loop based on 16th notes, if that makes sense. Hope it does. If we go into our arrangement is super duper simple and it's beat based, and basically you've got kind of 12 beats of your E minor 7 and then 4 beats of your F major 7. And the reason for making it a 7 and a major 7 I shall explain. Well, apart from I think those chords sound pretty cool together, I'll explain why I did that in the context of the ribbon, because it's something you might like to try as well. So, next up, we've got this bass synth part, and this is going to Model 15. And it sounds, without effects, it sounds like this. So there's a little bit of delay going on there, which is quite nice. Going to the F. Pretty cool, yeah? But I thought, well, this is kind of quite edgy, this this scene, you know, so I wanted to make it sound edgy, and how do you do that? Well, Crush Station to the edgy rescue. Can't remember if this is a preset or not. Probably is, but if you really want to kind of duplicate it, you can probably screen grab this and hopefully quick look at the video. I think that should be suitably clear. So if we listen to that again with the Crush Station in line, we get this. I don't know about you guys, but I love that. The Eventide are just knocking out the park right now with the audio unit ports. Just brilliant. Okie dokie. So what else have we got going on? Let's jump over here to Animoog. And this is actually one of my own sounds, so you can't replicate this just yet. But I don't know, Animoog kind of lends its character to just about anything you put in it. So it will immediately sound animogy to you if I just do this. Which is lovely. And I've got some black hole reverberation going on there. So let's bring that in. And Animoog is assigned to, actually I didn't do my assigns, did I? We'll do all the MIDI stuff later because you're probably sick of that because we've been doing lots of MIDI stuff, but I will cover it very quickly. So Animoog is going to the main instrument A, so you can do this sort of thing. Okie dokie. So on to our final Moog trinity of goodness. I've got Model D here. Again, I think I just, much as I tend to do with anything like this, is I just twiddled and found a sound that I liked. And basically it's a kind of pretty sort of lovely, juicy, I've got the filter kind of closed at the minute, mono type sound. And I've got that going to the ribbon. Okay, that was clipping a little bit, but sorry about that. And I've also got that being crushed in the station. And this has got a bit of octave stuff going on. So you get that real kind of almost like an octave fuzz thing happening. So let's bring that in, check it out. So you get that lovely kind of sputtery, you know, almost reminiscent of if you're a guitar player or if you got an old fuzz box or something, it's kind of like that, you know, when the battery's on its last legs in those old germanium fuzz boxes. Lemon and ginger, in case you're wondering what the tea was today. Lemon and ginger nearly every day now. So we've got our bass, we've got our Animoog. Let's just have a quick check of the MIDI very, very quickly. Main instrument A, AUM, MPE. If this is unfamiliar, there's loads of MIDI walkthroughs on this now. We're not using main instrument B, keyboard ribbon, going AUM, Omni. Sequences synth A is going to AUM, Omni, and that's how we've got them wired up. Sequence to synth, touchscaper ribbon, touchscaper A. So there you go. Now, one of the reasons I kind of picked that ribbon and main instrument sound is that in various points in the clip, it needs to go a bit crazy, I thought. So I thought in the combination of using this, see where it gets really sort of, and then you've also got this, you can kind of do, the crazy, if you want to bring it down a bit. So you got a nice bit of sort of, quite a lot of dynamic range, if you like, under your fingers with those two sounds. And then all I wanted to do then was to kind of just put it on a solid foundation, which is just the bass line and the drum part together. So if we just listen to those two together, because I don't think we've listened to those together yet, you get this. So that really kind of, I felt that really drives it along, you know. As soon as the cars get going, I kick this beat in. and pretty much use that for most of the scene, except for a couple of like little breakdowns slash intros. We've got the bass line just on its own, but sparser. So it's basically the just that low row there on the bass. And then on the second section, I've got the same bass part. Let's mute it for a second, but I'm using some percussion sounds. Just bring the limiter back in, I forgot to do that. The limiter, by the way, is on about a 3 dB boost to really crank the drums. Anyone who's a advocate of the loudness war will be shaking their head in dismay now. Anyway, I kind of like it. It's supposed to be like really, you know, brick wall and beyond. Anyway, I've got this percussion, so I'm using the Lin percussion sounds, and which are mostly kind of processed Lin sounds, and just to kind of, you know, classic sort of industrial type grungy stuff. So this is the Lin percussion part. And if I bring that bass in, I think that kind of sort of sounds quite ominous, you know. And then if you bring in Animo, so that I kind of use that in a couple of places. I think where the guided rocket kind of looks like it's missed and then it swoops back down. There was one other thing I was going to mention. Yeah, the ribbon and scales. So the reason why I chose these chords, the ribbon is in chord mode, but because of the added seventh and the added major seventh notes, it sounds more like a scale with some notes missing rather than a chord. So that's something to maybe keep in mind if you haven't tried it. If you just add some extra colour to the chord, you don't have to go into full-on scale mode necessarily, and then you can kind of whip up and down here and it sounds like you're really being really smart and using kind of funky scales, whereas actually you're just whizzing through the notes in the chord, you know. So that was something I wanted to mention. And the other thing, if you saw the video where I'm actually doing the kind of the live jam or whatever, I'm using my Apple Pencil. And I mean, obviously you don't have to, but I've been finding the pencil quite useful to kind of do the really fast stuff where you want to be really precise. And of course you don't have to do that with just a ribbon, you know, you can do it with any, you know, it's just another touch point basically. So I thought I'd mention the pencil in case anybody was thinking, well, have you got to use a pencil with that? No, you do not have to use it, but if you've got one, it can be kind of fun. Just be careful with your pencil where you touch the host in the making there, because they've got feelings too, you know. I guess it's an ethical kind of focus of the whole show, I believe. Anyway, I digress. I think that is pretty much it. Yeah, so just to wrap it up, I kind of wanted to show that it's possible to maybe, you know, if you're soundtracking normally, you're scoring to a piece of video, you normally have your timeline laid out, and then you maybe have a spotting session and try and identify some cue points, and then you agonize over tempo because you want to get your cue points to hit exactly on a beat or something like that, and then you'd start building the tracks. Next thing you know, you've got 64 tracks of virtual orchestra or whatever. And that's kind of quite a common approach. I'm not knocking it. I mean, you know, there's some amazing stuff out there that's been done like that. But I wanted to show you kind of almost like looking at it on a much simpler level, because I know some people who have got my apps, they're maybe filmmakers more than they are musicians. They might not even consider themselves musicians at all, although I would say to them, if you're making music, then you're a musician as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, off my soapbox. So the idea of this was kind of like almost an experiment to say, well, could I just kind of like, you know, just jam along to a video clip and make something that was kind of, you know, maybe 90% there in terms of a passable score for that clip. Whether I got that close or not, I don't know. I guess it's very subjective. But, you know, given that I already had the piece kind of from a previous demo, I sat down, maybe ran through it 4 or 5 times, identified some key parts that I wanted to kind of emphasize, and then I recorded all of those as I was doing them, and I think I ended up keeping the third one, and the whole thing, start to finish, took me, I don't know, a couple hours maybe, which in soundtracking terms, if you know this kind of domain, is pretty quick. You know, you could spend days on something like that. Anyway, I'm rambling on. I think that was all I wanted to cover. So with that, I shall bid you farewell. I hope you found this useful, and I hope you liked the other videos, and I hope you think it works. If you think it does or it doesn't, let me know. Stay safe and well, and I shall see you for another video. Not sure what that's gonna be. If there's anything you'd like to see specifically, do let me know, and I'll try and get to it. Okay, I'll say cheers, bye-bye for now. Ta-ta.